Hi, I'm Jeremy. I play guitar.
Hi, I'm Scott. I blow my voice out every 2 weeks.
Hi, I'm Ian. I play bass.
Hi, I'm Dom and I play drums.
And we're called At Their Mercy, and we're from Scotland.
I've been with the band since 2015. Went on to practice with Jeremy and Ian and fitted in.
Scott just nailed it straight off with the singing. It was just an instant fit. So 2015 is when it all kind of kicked off in earnest, and we've just been going ever since.
We've had a couple of drummers, but now we have Dom, who has fitted in really well. Has been with us, I think, about a year and a half now. Yeah. Well, I'm coming up for 41, and I've been in band since I was 18. And this guy is the best drummer that I've played with. Not just because he's in the same room. I'm just.
Yeah, I'm obliged to say that.
Yeah. So I think
behind me, you're like daggers. I have to say that.
We've had two drummers prior, but Dom has been with us over a year and a half, and it's all going well.
Before I was in the band, you guys came to me to record, and I produced with you, and we did an EP together. The drummer Jack had at the time, was a fucking phenomenal drummer. He left the band a few months later, and Ian straight away called me up the same night and said, okay, we need a drummer, do you want in the band? And I was like, yeah, please, that'd be great.
And you did your first gig after 2 practices?
Yeah, after a couple of practices, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I mean, Disavow was the name of, it's the lead track off the album. It was a song in its own right before it became the album title. The song really is essentially about disastrous Western foreign policy intervention. That's the gist of the lyrics, but more broadly it just covers a spectrum of feeling disconnected from the wider world and forming your own alternatives to what established norms. So it came together fairly easily as a track, and it seemed to represent what the album was all about more generally, so we went with that short punchy title.
From a kind of lyrical perspective, it's social political, isn't it, Jeremy? That's kind of the stance that we take in terms of lyrics. It's quite involved in terms of the focus on politics and environment and anything the sort of normal subject matter you associate with hardcore. So I think that's pretty much accurate, isn't it?
I think it was important for us to write lyrics that we felt had a bit of meaning to them. So social commentary is very much in there. As Ian says, environmentalism was a hugely important element. Politics in the more generic sense of observing restrictions on liberty, restrictions on free speech, just watching the slow decline of society as a whole. These are all things that we really wanted to comment on. We wanted to do it in a way that we're not preaching, but we did really want a bit of good old-fashioned punk rock complaining in there. Everything is done by consensus. There are no lyrics in there that no one agrees with particularly. Anyone's free to bring anything along to contribute. So
it's the same with the music as well. We try and craft the songs that we do, and I think the actual songcraft and the amount of effort that we've put in is demonstrated on the Disavowed album. It spans a number of different genres of both metal, hardcore and punk, so I believe it's proper true crossover. Crossover is the best way to describe the sound we've got.
There is a bit of teamwork involved as well, because not everybody is going to like every single part of the song, so there's a bit of compromise as well, a bit of give and take. So Ian may not like one thing, I may like the other thing, but you've all got the same goal in mind, and it's to make the best possible song. So it's there is a bit of compromise as well.
We talked a lot about the pacing of the album as well, the structure of how the songs link from one to the next. So it starts off with a reasonably built-up intro. By the time you're halfway through the song, it's raging, and then it kind of stays at that high tempo through most of the set. There's a quieter song midway, then picks up pace again. So it's a pretty fast album all in all, but as everyone is saying, it has a mix of styles. It's got some kind of crustier passages, it's got some chunkier stuff, a bit of contrast, light and dark, to make it interesting. We really wanted to have the kind of the punchy pace. For me, I'm all about crescendos as well. I just like noise building to a high peak, and then perhaps just a cut dead. So it really leaves kind of the song with a lot of dynamics.
Also, one thing about Disavowed as well that we wanted to emphasise is short gaps between songs, so it sounds like it's almost coming out as you would play live.
The live set.
Absolutely, yeah. So instead of having 3 or 4 second gaps between the songs with silence, there's a half a second to a second gap between each of the songs. So as soon as one's finished, it instantly moves into the next, and that makes it feel kind of continuous and flowing in a sense. So that was kind of the reason behind that, and that's the way we've always recorded our music. with very, very short song gaps between each of the songs.
The production and mixing is what I'm mostly happy about as well. So I was really disappointed in our first EP. It's such high hopes, and the EP sounded weak, thin and trebly, and it took away from a lot of the songs. And it's kind of hard to tell your fellow bandmates that you were really disappointed in something, whereas this one, production and mix-wise, is night and day, and it just sounds what we're all about.
Just sounds like the band.
Yeah,
so
just
that's
thicker
simple
and
as that.
a meatier and muscly production, and that's what I like about this, the Disavowed tracks. Good songs as well, but I'm just really impressed with the production as well.
So Disavowed is available on both digital and physical copy through Bandcamp. The reason that we chose Bandcamp is because it allows people to pay what they would like for an album. That's a very much a hardcore approach that comes from bands like Minor Threat, etc., who I'm massively into, which we think is the right thing to do. But basically, not ripping people off.
For me, I like a physical copy of music.
same, absolutely,
I feel like I connect with it better. So it's really important for us to actually produce a plastic CD in a paper cover
Artwork.
with artwork and a lyric sheet. I think a big shout out to our impromptu fifth member, Andy, who's done all our artwork.
Yep. Top man.
Yeah.
Andy Bennett.
Check him out, guys. If you haven't come across Doomsday's graphics before, Andy's done a superb pair of work. All of the design of the lyric sheet, all the album covers. So thank you, Andy.
Well, the artwork for Disavowed is a homage to Jeremy's old band Atavistic. Atavistic's Equilibrium EP was released in about 1987, was it, Jeremy?
Aye.
86 or 87?
All
I
of
thought
that.
you said 1897 there.
No,
Come
no,
on, Ian.
we're not that old. You know,
Not that old, come
he's not travelling back in time.
Piccolo.
But yes, it's an honour to be in a band with a guy who's played in such a highly regarded.
I was absolutely thrilled and chuffed when Ian mentioned it. We had a big tree thing going on in Atavistic's imagery, and all the albums, well, the one album and the two EPs both had foliage styled graphics around it. So when Ian mentioned that he was looking to do a tree cover and a really striking, imposing picture on the front, I was absolutely thrilled, because it was such a compliment really to sort of reproduce that. So it
also relates to the environmental theme of a lot of the music that we and the kind of harm that we're doing to the world and all that kind of stuff that Jeremy's been
just a
talking
really
about.
strong graphic as well.
It is, and it translates well across a number of different media as well. So,
we love hardcore and punk and metal, but I didn't think we wanted an album cover that really just was
generic.
Of the typical style.
Skull and fire and
Yeah. And then the back cover is firmly anti-racist, and that's exemplified in our lyrics as well. So the back cover actually says, if you turn the CD around, it says "Make racists afraid again," and that is a fantastic
Is
statement.
that an actual? Is it a picture? An actual
It's a picture, of
It's graffiti on it.
it's
Yeah,
graffiti
graffiti on the wall,
in
yeah.
America, I think.
Pretty-
So that's the story behind the artwork.
So at the moment we are essentially a label-less band. We have got the Grace Note brand attached to it, but I think because we're a fiercely independent band, we really wanted to sort of go this thing, do it our way, and build our own journey, if you like. So certainly we're absolutely clear that in order to get any kind of serious exposure, you probably do need some form of distribution to help you out, without a shadow of a doubt. I think for us, we enjoy what we do. I think it's making the step from just being hobbyists locally to doing something that's probably got a bit more reach to it, if you like, increase our exposure levels and our footprint, and just be part of the wider community. So labels as such, not sure. Distribution, yeah, I think for us it feels like if we had support from a distributor of some sort that was able to just help us spread and sort of partner with us, that would be a great thing really for us.
Yeah.
For me, I think playing the time we're playing at Bannerman's and we played All That's Left, which has the really groovy intro. It's very similar but different to the intro to Blackened Earth Parable. and I got that into it, and I was that zoned out that I started playing Black and Earth Parable. But we managed to rescue it. It's a similar pace of intro, so we managed
And
to
the annoying
rescue
thing
it.
is, no one noticed.
So nobody noticed, exactly, except us. We all noticed.
And at the first first ever Forest Fest show we played, I didn't turn my bass on when we played Malfeasance. So we've all done it. Yeah, we've all done things here and there that we aren't necessarily particularly proud of.
Audiences have been kind to us.
Or
disinterested.
yeah,
One or the other.
There's been a few where I've slipped on my ass. There's a lot of times where I can't remember half the lyrics and I've kind of winged it. With a vocal style, you can kind of get away with it live, but if you're here in the studio, you can't. So there's been a lot of epic fails. Pretty much every gig from me, to be honest. The last sort of recent metal album that I liked was Mike Patton and Dave Lombardo's Dead Cross album, which was really good.
What do you guys think of, what's his name, the guy from Stratham Young Lads?
Devin Townsend.
Devin Townsend, Devin Townsend. It's sort of like post metal, isn't it? It's not macho metal. It's like proper euphoric. I like his stuff. Man.
For me, there's so many good UK bands out there. So in Scotland, we've got bands like Kingpin and Afterburn, Divide. They're all great bands. Bitterwood from up north, a great bunch of guys. Tempered as well, a fantastic band.
For me, March of God would be a great band to listen to. New Wolf Brigade album, fantastic.
Still think the greatest album ever recorded is Angel Dust by Faith No More. Nobody's changed my mind on that yet, so I'll get that one in there as well.
I mean, COVID's had a big impact, there's no question, on the scene, on music as a whole. What we try to do is keep busy in the interim by writing songs and rehearsing as far as we can during the lockdown phase. As it's eased off, we've managed to get back together, carry on with some writing. Ian and I were doing some FaceTime writing, put a few ideas together, which we're now putting into the studio.
I think we wrote 5 songs during the lockdown. It was a completely different dynamic between Jeremy and I, because Jeremy and I being the kind of primary songwriters in terms of the music. It was a very, very different dynamic between us than sitting in a room together. But we made it work, and it just shows you that under kind of coerced or extreme circumstances like we've been under, you can actually, if you've got enough kind of will, you can get willpower, you can actually get things done. So out of the kind of lockdown period, which was about 12 weeks in the UK before we could meet up as a band, we managed to write 5 songs, and I said we could have written more, but five to be working on in a band that's just been back together again in the last couple of weeks is plenty. And we continue to write all the time anyway, so it's but it's definitely had an impact on, in terms of live music. We had 21 gigs organised between lockdown and December this year, and 13 of them have been cancelled already. And to be honest with you, I doubt very much if we'll play again before the end of the year, guys. I don't know what you think, but
I don't see it happening either.
Which is unfortunate, but there are these kind of live streamed gigs and things like that, so I'm in talks with a couple of different people potentially getting onto one of them, but again, we just need to just play it by ear and see what happens. And then the good thing about the COVID situation has meant that instead of constantly playing gigs, that we've been able to take a step back and actually write some new music, which we'll be recording for the next album, which should be out towards the end of the year, start of next. So our new album doesn't have a title. We've got enough material for almost a whole album already, but we plan to record that between now and the end of the year to take advantage of the fact that we're not going to be playing a lot of gigs. So it's after being away for 12 weeks to actually get back in the room together as well. It's been the last 3 or 4 weeks has been really nice. I think we've all missed it. And then hopefully the next phase of the COVID situation in the UK being removed, I should say, we'll hopefully get back to playing live. So in terms of future plans, I think we'd like to play a lot more down south. We've got a fair few gigs, or had a fair few gigs lined up this year, but due to COVID they've been cancelled. So playing kind of in the larger cities in England and Wales, and going across to Ireland as well. We had that opportunity recently to play in Dublin, but that's been canned because of COVID. So going back over there would be really nice. Playing in kind of the bigger metal scene and metal hardcore scenes in Europe as well. So Finland has got a big hardcore scene, France, Germany, Italy, Belgium, and maybe even parts of Eastern Europe as well. We're we'd really like the opportunity to play some larger festivals across there, so hardcore metal festivals.
Wherever there's a good scene, we play it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. If people listen to this Avowed and want to bring us across to Europe, we'd be quite happy to do that. Just depends on what it involves, but yeah, definitely Europe is an ambition for 2021 for sure. That's one of the things we want to do, and play a lot more in parts of the UK that we've not really had the opportunity to play in yet. So yeah, wherever there's a good scene, we'll pretty much play, as Dom said.